It's awkward, wow.
It's not awkward.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Hi guys, this is the second episode and I brought YEH, or I like to call her Brianna.
You can call me anything you want, but my name's YEH.
To this talk. And she's one of the first women in the sport, right?
Oh, I thought you were saying one of the first women ever.
Yeah. She's the most Asian woman.
Cut. I don't know if I'm one of the first women in this. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Probably in California.
For tricklining,
Yeah,
I was definitely one of the few first female slackliners for trickliners. Yeah. I would say that.
And I think I met you in California at the beach in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
You were teaching me and Rebecca how to do tap spins. That was our first session.
Really?
Where we met, yeah. And
how long?
I remember
that.
got it first and I was so jealous.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think she was just like, oh, Brianna, we were called Brianna back then, but YEH is coming and she's so good and we're going to learn from her. And I think it was like one of the first sessions that we had. You were teaching us step spinning.
Dang, I don't remember that. That's crazy. I just remember meeting you at the beach at some point.
How did you start actually? I think you started with Alex Mason.
Mm-hmm. I started when I was 13 years old. I went for my first time rock climbing. My cousin was like, oh, I rock climb now. You should come to my rock climbing gym. So I went there and went rock climbing, and then I saw just slack lines. This was one of the first gyms that had slack lines, rock climbing gyms that had slack linings indoors. I saw a 1-inch slack line, and I was like, I need to do that. It was just I've never seen anything.
Not even
regular slack line, super short. I've never seen anything like that.
You got introduced to climbing and to slacklining at the same time?
Yeah, so I went my first time climbing. Well, I had climbed before, not at a gym. So I went to a gym, I saw a slackline set up, and I was like, whatever that is, that looks really fun. And I was just 13, and so I got on it and tried to walk it for the first time. And it was really, really hard, and I was like,
that's what 13-year-olds do.
Yeah, this is
try everything.
Yeah, literally, I was like, okay, I need to do this. And then I kept going back there to climb, but really just to slackline. And then one day, it wasn't that long into it, I saw Alex Mason tricklining. I saw a kid tricklining, and I was like, whoa.
How old was Alex back then?
He was 12, 13 also.
Another kid?
Yeah, literally another kid. And I was like, that looks so cool. I was like, what is that? And then I just watched him, and then every single weekend after that, I went out to, so I had to travel an hour out to go there.
So I know you forever. I met you at the beach in Santa Monica when you are still cool. But you were this legendary slackliner girl, trickliner female.
16, I was legendary.
I don't know,
Really,
you can do tricks. You can do tricks. And then we kind of collaborated a little bit through your early stages of social media.
Yeah, when I moved out here, it was I moved out here 2 years ago, but then I would
2 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years now.
Feels longer. Feels
because I would always come out to LA because there was the slackline park.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if I come out here, I'm gonna stay with Olga because I'm a child and I have nowhere to stay and I want a slackline. So I would always come and stay with you. Yeah. Or the first time I came, I stayed with Becca actually. And then
no, stay with me. You're my friend.
I don't know. And then I don't know. I guess. Yeah, I don't know why, but I think I met you, and then I was like, oh, Olga always trickline, so I came out and would trickline.
Remember we recorded that video with the phone?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that was before I moved out to LA. That was
one of your trips.
Yeah, that was after I graduated college, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, so I just lived in my car and slacklined with them. So
YEH was actually you did a very inspiring move, a crazy move when you were an accountant.
Yes.
And then you're I don't want to do this stuff anymore. I want to do social media.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about that. I went to school for business and information systems, and I did my internship in accounting, which sucked. So I went back to school and got my my concentration in information systems, and then after I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do because I was now what? I didn't want to I don't know, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I took the week after I graduated, I was I'm gonna leave. I don't know where, I'm just gonna get in my car and leave. And so I actually ended up getting a message from my roommate Ben, Reckless Ben, and he was like, hey, I'm in Colorado. Do you want to come to this event in Indiana with me? And I was like, sure. This was like right after I'd graduated. And so I just like got in my car. I drove to go pick up Ben, no, like the next like couple days. I got in my car, picked up Ben in Colorado, went to Indiana. That was like the start of our like 3-month road trip. Yeah. We're just like traveling the U.S. and like tricklining and slacklining. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna make money by like going to perform at EDC or something. But like really, like it was like what, a couple $100, if that. And so I came back and I was like, there's no way I can do this. Like I either go into the circus or I go perform on a cruise ship. And I ended up not doing either of those, and I stayed in SLO, San Luis Obispo, with my friends until I finally, one day I just like went to the career fair and like found this like legendary job, which was like in tech, and I worked there for a year, and I did content throughout that time, and it wasn't until a little bit ago, like, or when COVID hit, I was like working from home but also making content, and I was like, everything was like starting to like come kind of pick up, but like not really. I was just like doing it for fun, but like tech was like my main thing. But I would still trickline because like I love tricklining. And I was gonna move to Hawaii to go and surf, but then I jumped on the phone with Michael, who I met performing at EDC with Ben, and he was like, why don't you just move out to LA? And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, like we've like kind of settled down here, we have a place, like if you want to move, we have an open room. And I was like, what? And then within that week packed up all my stuff from the Bay Area and with like all my computers and stuff, and then just like went down to LA and like continued working in tech, which was like a 9 to 8 job in mobile gaming, and then also made content with like my crazy roommates. And then probably like 4 months into being here, things started like kind of picking up, and it wasn't until like this specific day I remember I like came outside and I was like, Michael, I can't work here anymore. Like it's like I work so hard, it's so stressful, and like because I worked all the time. Like it was like I was on weekends, I was on call, and then like I'd work, you know, 9 to 8, and even like then I'd like dream about getting messages from like my company, you know. And then I came out and I was like, okay, Michael, in 2 months, I'm probably going to quit. I can't do this anymore. And then that night, I think I posted a video, like me tricklining with like Cardi B, or tricklining to a song with Cardi B. And that video like went like viral, big, huge. Someone messaged me, was like, yo, you see Cardi B retweeted your video? I was like, oh, that's really cool. But like didn't think anything of it. And then I was like, it's just like Twitter. Like I don't use Twitter. And then the next morning, I had all these messages on my Instagram and like all these messages everywhere because like Cardi B had like shared it on her story and then like posted my video on her TikTok and all this stuff. And then I remember like that week, I was like, dude, like this is crazy. And one of my friends called me and was like, hey, you have to like ride the wave. And I was like, I can't. I'm sitting right here on my computers working. Like I cannot ride the wave, Blake. And he was like, figure it out. And so that like week we started like recording content, all this stuff, like riding the wave. And like within the next week I like quit my job.
Yeah, and for me as like I didn't see you that often, and I'm not like in the close circle of yours, like because it's like mostly like Ben and Michael. But for me, it's like I could hear it from you talking about it, because like at first you would come to Trickline at the beach and you're like, oh, I'm gonna move here, and for me it was like, oh yeah, she's gonna move here. But then like, oh yeah, you actually moved here, and then. But when you were talking about quitting your job, I'm like, oh yeah, good luck, you know, like how is it gonna work? It's just this is something stable. Like how is she gonna make a living doing social media?
I don't know. I was scared about that too.
Yeah, but it's like eye opening, because like I think we're in the era of social media being work, you know, like becoming somebody's work. It's not necessarily connected to like sport that much anymore because you like take it as like more. I wouldn't call it a job, but it is a job, kind of.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It was absolutely a job, and it's terrifying to like go into it, to like actually take the dive into it, you know.
But I want to kind of go back to your early days when you were like a 13-year-old Brianna back then, and trying tricklining for the first time, like getting inspired with Alex Mason. I want to ask you, like, who were your like icons, or like which videos did you watch back then that inspired you?
I would watch these videos all the time. So these are the ones that inspired me. I can show you the ones that I learned slacklining from.
Let's talk about both.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to start with.
This one. So epic. Literally legends. It's like all the legends that
Did he do it on
looked up to.
purpose? Did he fall on purpose?
I don't know. They're all so young.
Yeah, what year is it?
I don't know.
Who, like, so who was your hero here?
Oh, definitely, like, Andy, Alpha Mike Payne, Haley, like, they were, like, huge.
So was it recorded in the US?
No, this is in, like,
Germany?
Europe, Germany, I think. But, like, these videos, like, Worlds of Tomorrow made, like, a bunch of these kinds of videos, and I remember I would just watch them, and I'd be like, I want to do that. And I loved, like, urban slacklining at the time, because, like, back then, like, you wouldn't see slacklining, like, in a slackline park. You would see it in a random park attached to something random, or that's what, like, I would see 2 poles and I'd be like, I need to set that up there. Like, that's it. And, like, no question about it. And then if you saw a slackline, you're like, holy crap, you slackline? Like, what is this? And I remember getting my first slackline and I rigged it off of, like, a fence of a park, which I definitely wasn't supposed to do, and, like, something else, because, like, my cousins would go play basketball or something, and I'd be like, I'm going to go rig there. Like, you guys go play basketball, I'm going to go rig my brand new slackline and go in slackline.
Yeah, I guess Trickline now would never work with poles like this.
Yeah.
So what did you like about this? Just because it's like,
Because
like
it's
wild?
like, you could do it, like, this is a brand new sport that you can do anywhere. You can, like, take a line, attach it to anything, and do whatever you wanted, like, free of, like, it's like freestyle. Like, you can do whatever. Look, they're all just, like, going crazy, and then, like, in the middle of a city. And so I'm like, I love this, like, so much, and it was, like, inspiring. It was like, I'm gonna go do this with my friends, and I'm gonna go and, like, be crazy. It's like the start of, like, the skating era, you know?
Do you think, like, your style is your style because of you learn throughout that time? Like, you do a lot of, like, static tricks and, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that was just at the time. That's what everybody did. So, like, a lot of the people that used to, like, who started out tricklining back then, they do this kind of stuff. Or they have the ability to do that kind of stuff. And they have the ability to highline and, like, all that stuff. It's because we did all of it, you know? Like, it wasn't, like that's how tight you could get the line. Like, you're doing jib tricks. Like, you couldn't do, like, crazy triple butt flips, like, you know.
What was the first trick that you learned?
First trick that I learned, probably, like, butt bounce on a trick line.
Yeah,
butt bounce.
like a trick. Like, I remember mine was butt 180 to feet because I couldn't do anything else.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. That was, like, so long ago. I think probably chest bounce. And then I remember shortly after I was like, holy crap, I want to do the crook bounce. Because I saw it for this first time and I'm like, that guy, how is he not breaking his knees in half? I remember watching it from, like, the top balcony of, like, the gym, and I saw that and I was like, there's absolutely no way
who was
possible.
it Alex?
No.
A different person?
I don't even remember his name. He was, like, a big trickliner back then too at the gym. I don't remember his name.
So there was a small community at the gym that you were.
Yeah. Like the OGs. Like Andy even showed up one day, and I was like, holy crap! I watch him online. Like, he's like my hero. And I remember, like, I don't even think I walked up to him. Like, I was like, I saw him, and I was like looking at him from across the gym, like, creepily, and then I was like, that is, like, my hero, like, at this gym.
Were you the only girl who was like tricklining in that gym?
In the beginning, yeah, absolutely. Maybe there was other. I don't know.
How did you feel like about?
Yeah, it was
like how did you feel about me and Rebecca coming into the sport?
I met Becca before you, so I met Becca because she was in Berkeley and went to that gym.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so, like, no, I think it was sick. I always looked up to, like, all the girls trickliners because I was like, there's not many, and so I like, but it never came from a point of jealousy because I was like so young, and so regardless of whether or not you were, like, better than me, I'd look up to you. Like, I just, like,
I mean, you're still better
than me. No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like a kid looking up to adults that are so cool and living this sick lifestyle. Even though I was, like, living it, I was like, oh, this is, like, what I want to do.
It's so crazy because I never thought about it that you had, like, a kid perspective when you started. I started at 32, so for me, it's like, it wasn't a kid perspective. But I wonder, like, what tricklining looks like in the eyes of a 13-year-old. You want to show me another video that you learned from?
I mean, most of the tricks that I learned was through Trick in a Minute.
I never learned from that stuff.
Dude.
Like I mostly learned from people that I trained with, or like if I traveled and I met people who were teaching me.
Did all my tricks. Learned my first tricks, Frankie Nahara. Hi, this is Frankie Nahara, and this is Trick in a Minute.
So you remember that?
I remember it like no other. No, this isn't even it.
Because I know Frankie, but I know Frankie when he already kind of did in Trickline, he was mostly judging. And I don't think I've ever even seen him on a line. It's also crazy to me that, like, you talk about videos that I've never seen in my life.
You've never seen these ones?
No. Like the Trick in a Minute, I've never seen.
I don't think you'll ever get to see it.
Not anymore, apparently.
Yeah, it's just like not there. Want to see my old videos?
Yeah.
Brianna, YEH slackline.
I didn't know you posted on YouTube.
Way back when. Look, my username is Hawk Dog Junior 10.
Oh my god, and you have 97 subscribers.
This is my old school stuff.
That's so funny.
This is like one of the first couple videos that I just posted. Queen of Slackline, round 1. So there was this competition back in the day called Queen of Slackline. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
From Gibbon, right?
Yeah, and basically to inspire or to push people to slackline more, they made this like competition where like 2 people from like the community or like I don't know, like they always switched it off, but a couple of the like sponsored trickliners would come on, would like post a video every week, and in order to like go on to the next level, you have to like complete the video within a certain time that week and submit it. And so I remember I was like, I just got off school. I need to go to like Bridges Rock Gym, which is an hour and a half away, and I need to go complete this trick. And like that's all I would think about during school. Is like I need to I didn't finish it this weekend. Like, oh no, I only have a couple more days. Like I need to go back out there and complete this trick, no matter what it took.
So how many years did like was tricklining the main priority? Like when
every weekend since 13 until I graduated high school.
And what changed after the high school?
I think I realized that I couldn't make money, or not make money, but I couldn't live off of slacklining. So that was like the first realization I had. It was like, well, it's 13 until 17. So I slacklined every single weekend. Would travel out an hour every single weekend and go and train for hours, like sometimes like 2 days in a row, or like 3 days in a row. But like I graduated high school and I was like, okay, well I have to go to college now, because what am I gonna do? Go perform on a cruise ship or?
But was it a cruise ship thing back then?
Yeah,
like I think they started.
I think the cruise ships had already started, so like, what am I gonna do? Or go perform? Like, I'm not gonna be able to perform for Madonna, which people were able to do, which is the same realization.
Show me some of your like first tricks or something.
Yeah, that was that was like the same frustration as like when I graduated college. Even it's like, wow, I'm not gonna be able to make this a living, so let me go find a job now. Some of my first tricks, 49 views, me slacklining. Like, I think that's my cousin in the background climbing.
That's so funny.
He was the one that, like, brought me out here, and I slacklined, to the gym.
So what about the people that, like, that were with you in the gym? Like, what about like, Alex, or I don't know, like, who was your main partner? And also, like, you're sitting so sideways. It's, like, the old school style.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because it's, like, everybody was sitting sideways, or is it because the line was super low?
It's the tightness of the line and how everything works. I think it was just like a different way that people just learned like that. Because like me, Alex, and Mickey all trickline like in exposure like that.
So how much like Alex or Mickey or whoever else you trained with affected your training? My training?
How much of it? Like Alex was like my I looked up to him even though he was like a kid, because like Alex was like doing it. Alex was the first Red Bull sponsored athlete for slacklining, and I was like, I want to get there. Like I want to do that. Up until I graduated high school, I was training to be the best female slackliner in the world. And that was like my goal. I wanted to be the best trickliner, and like I wanted to travel the world and make it my goal. And then I realized like I couldn't do that. And then I had to go to college, because even if I was the best trickliner in the world, I wouldn't be able to like pay my bills.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I got to go to college. And once I got to college, I like, it kind of just was like, there's other things that came into play, like highlining. That's when I really got into highlining, was in college, because there was a community out there that highlined. Tricklining kind of like fell behind, and I would trickline for fun, you know, whenever I could, because like nobody would trickline anything. I would have to go to the park and trickline by myself.
What about like Alex? Can you show me like some of his videos? Did you watch his videos, or was it like more in person?
In person, no, we would just bounce off each other. Like the first competition I ever went to was with the owner of the gym and Alex Mason. Like I was 13 going to Colorado with like this guy who just owned the gym and Alex Mason. And so I had to like convince my mom that it was okay for me to do that.
Can we look at some like of the Alex Mason's videos?
Yeah. Yo, it was more just like Alex, I would like learn tricks from Alex or have him teach me. And we would just like trickline there for hours.
Was he a good partner?
Yeah, Alex was like,
Which
I
one?
actually just saw Alex the other day.
Really?
Like, Alex is like still like one of my best friends. Like I've known him since I was a kid, and like, you know, that was like one of his like famous, the like what do you call it? Like, the one where you like throw your legs over. What's that called?
A nasty?
Yeah.
I missed what he did.
Sick nasty. We went tricklining the other day.
Yeah.
He
still tricklines?
Yeah, he still tricklines. What is it? 12 years ago.
He's so little there. Oh my god.
Yeah, sick nasty. There it is.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, I've tried it. I never was able to get it. I don't know what it was. I just was never able to get the sick nasty.
What's the best trick you can do?
Right now? Oh, I don't know.
Like, or like you reached throughout the tricklining.
What, the what?
That, like you ever were able to do. Like, what do you think is the sickest trick that you can do?
I don't know. Like, I've done butt flips, like back flips and stuff, which is really cool, but like I always hurt myself.
Yeah, I remember.
Just, like, we're like,
do you have a fail? Do you have a fail?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many fails. And then one of my favorite tricks is like,
I think you do like standing dirty bastard. Yeah.
Dirty bastard.
Yeah.
It's like standing 360 to chest bounce. That one's cool. And then crook free falls are really fun. I love any like tricks that have like crooks, just because they're just like old school and not many people do them.
It looks cool. Yeah.
And then I remember I like landed like Ascension 540 at the beach, and then I was landing them, and then I tried throwing them back in the gym, and I really hurt myself, and I was like, okay, no more of this.
What are the like worst injuries that you had?
I fractured my wrist. Which I have on recording.
Can we see it?
Yeah, absolutely. 11 years ago.
Gosh, I'm scared to watch.
What was I?
Was it like a bad grab? What was this? Oh, because just slapped your wrist.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, that really hurt. And I remember going home, and I was like, guys, like this really, really, really hurts. Like, look, I tried to grab it, and I'm like, oh. And, like, the first thing I thought about wasn't, like, oh, like, I hurt my wrist. Like, it was that I hurt my wrist and I wouldn't be able to slackline. Because I think I was trying to land a Queen of Slackline trick. Because, look at the next video. It's, like, me with my cast doing Queen of Slackline.
How did your parents react to your, like, trickline obsession?
They didn't really care. They own restaurants. They're too busy anyway. So I'm like,
it's like whatever she does.
I'm not doing drugs. I'm just throwing myself and dangling myself above canyons. But at least I'm not doing drugs.
So what were you saying that you wanted to talk about, like this slackline community or trickline community?
Oh, I think when I first started slacklining, like when I was 13, I like loved it so much that I knew that I wanted to do it for like the rest of my life. But there was just
sounds like a 13-year-old.
Yeah, and there was like things that came in the way. Like I always knew that I wanted to get like where I am like right now. When like there was like obstacles of like having to make money, which I guess people in life have to do, make money. Like I was like, can I make this work? And I was like, no, I'm just gonna go to college because it would make my parents happy if I went to college which I should do, and I like get to go to Cal Poly, which is like super fun, and like I get a slackline there. And then I like graduated college, and I was like, okay, now's the next step. How can I make slacklining work? I can't. Okay, let's get a job. And then when I got the job, I was like, okay, 5-year goal, 10 years goal. In 5 years or 10 years, I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna do social media and do slacklining. So
I remember.
Always
no,
there.
I remember you were like, you were looking. I think you were at the beach and there was the Pasha the boss, and you were like so freaked out that he's so famous, and you're like, I want to be famous. And I always looked at it of like, yeah, never gonna get there. Like, because like I don't know, like I have this like I don't believe in stuff like this because I've never seen it happen, you know.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, I want to be famous, and for me, like I look at it.
I
as
said
the same,
that I want to be famous.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
And I was like, I think I put it in the same bin, like, oh, I want to move to LA. Oh, I want to do social media full time, and like I want to be famous. But then it's kind of really awesome.
There's no
to
way
see.
I said I
You
won't.
did. You were just like really freaking out about Pasha the boss, and you wanted like to talk to him or whatever. Like even when we were recording our stuff, the first stuff that we did together, it was like, and we were both like upset. We were so upset that it didn't go anywhere. Like our first videos.
Yeah. It was just like it's interesting. Like it's like I always like knew I was gonna get there. I just didn't know how. And like after like doing it, I'm like, wow, that. It was a little bit of luck, definitely luck with the Cardi B thing, but also like a lot of work. Like it was like a lot of work. Like I posted every single day and
I remember.
made videos like every single day for like over a year.
Yeah.
And I just like worked so hard. And I remember like it doesn't pay off right away.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
what's like.
Oh, what stops most people.
Yeah, what stops most people is
I remember seeing your stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, she's still trying, and then once it's like kind of picked up, I'm like, oh my god, it's working, like it's actually working. And awesome. For me it was just like a eye-opening experience that it actually can work, like somebody can actually get from not having it to having it, like have it.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, I think that's like what I was mentioning earlier about like, I guess from your success in social media and what you do, like have you ever gotten like hate from other people and people inside the community? Because that's kind of leads to that, is that like people see me doing this and I don't think they know any of like my background or the fact that I've been slacklining for 13 years, which really doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, but I don't think they know that I have put a decent amount of work like into making this work. And like it's like hard to say, but like I'm like for me to accept, but I'm like sometimes I like doubt it, but I'm like, dude, I deserve to be here because I worked really freaking hard for this.
I agree.
Yeah,
and I'm really jealous that you're there and I'm not there.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's like it's just whatever you are, like I was there and I'm like here, and then I'm like jealous that I'm not. I'm not jealous, but I'm like, why am I not here?
There?
So it's always like wherever you are in a stage in your life, you're like, oh, I can like.
It's like, I got a silver YouTube button. Oh, she got 2.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. It's just like, it's not that. It's like whatever journey you take to get there, because like, and whatever you see as the highest, because like, for a long time, I'm like, have I plateaued? Like, am I not going to get out of this? And then I'm like, wait, I've like gone here, but like, I'm at the middle. I'm like base camp. I'm like,
it's like rich and richer and richer and richer.
Not about rich, not about
but I mean
money.
like, but I mean like
exactly,
it's the same kind of
the same concept.
But for me, I totally got that in the beginning because I was doing this thing in heels that I just got randomly, creatively.
Yeah.
And then I got all of that interest from like TV channels or something like this, and I think some of the trickliners who were there longer and were more presentable and like more skilled, obviously. Yeah. They didn't get that attention, and I was like looked down upon. I'm like, hey, like, why is she getting all of this? Why? I remember like the first time I got invited for the what is this TV show? The America Got Talent. Like I never made it there, but I was invited since like early years of me tricklining. And there's like so much more skilled athletes out there who can rock it. Yeah. But people who are like me, who are like have this like thing, like, oh, she does it in heels, like anybody can do it in heels, like anyone. They just didn't try it,
Yeah, but like I don't know, like think of it like this, like anyone can paint like art, but like, why is it not? That's not true. I take that back. And like, let's say it was like you know, like simplistic art, right? Like, I would argue for very simplistic art that makes it big, that a lot of artists that are very skilled can do the same thing, but they didn't. They weren't the first artists to do that, and so whatever artist was the first to make that piece of art gets recognition from it. You know, and so it's like
not the first one, but the first one who I feel like it's like the like I don't want to say it's like belief, because it's not just believing in this. It's like also recording the videos, putting it up there, getting a lot of videos who are not viewed. You know, like having your dreams shut off in the first like months and months and months and months of not getting picked up or not getting viral.
Yeah. You saw my videos. It was like from what?
I saw you as a girl.
12 years ago, and it has 49 views. Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's just like yeah, I agree with you that it's like
I don't like to measure things like, oh, success is in followers or whatever.
No.
But it's definitely work, like you said. It's work.
Yeah, I think it comes with it. Like like I look at it like if you measure whatever your career is based off views, which everyone does, it like takes a huge toll on you.
What do you
because
mean?
Like if you measure like how well you're doing in life based off how many views you're getting on your videos, which is hard not to do because this is like my job now. Mm-hmm. This is my career. It's like it eats away at you. So you have to like I would remember being at like a conference thing. It was like a YouTube conference, I think, and I sat there and there was a lady talking who does really well, and I think her name is Karen or something, but she said, when I make content, I follow this rule: 1 for myself and like 2 for them, or 2 for myself and 1 for them, meaning that like it doesn't matter for those videos that you make for yourself how many views you get, because it's like that's for yourself. Like it brings you enjoyment and it makes you happy doing it. And then those videos that you make for like viralness and like to gain traction, that just like boosts your channel. But if you're just doing things for like views and for likes, like it's not going to make you happy. You're going to get into this like constant like spiral of just like being really happy when you have a lot of views, and then just going to like straight depression when like when the algorithm doesn't work. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what's your current relationship with tricklining, or like slacklining in general?
I like it. I'm like, it's not my like whole career anymore, because like I don't know, if I just make whatever I love like doing my entire being, it takes the fun out of it for sure. And so I don't know if you've noticed, but like within the last couple like months, this year especially, I started making like content separate from slacklining. So anything adventure, travel, life, like I've been doing that, and I've been really enjoying it because like it makes me be able to be like vulnerable with like my audience, and it also challenges me like crazy because like I'm learning a new style of storytelling, I'm learning a new style of like editing, and it's like so fun. Like it's like when I like figured out like when I like not the same, but like it's like when you discover something new for the first time and you're like just having fun with it again. And because I was able to do that and took a little bit of a break away from slacklining, it made me love slacklining like even more. Like a lot.
So what do you recommend to beginner trickliners? Like what do you think is different right now when you start tricklining, and any advice?
As someone who's like beginning tricklining, I couldn't imagine being so. Again, there is social media, like so much more social media now, so you can see tricklining and like be inspired and get a trickline and like go and start doing it. But there isn't that community anymore. Like where like when I first started slacklining, like I had a couple people around me that I saw tricklining, and then within the first year was like training and like competing and meeting other trickliners and doing that. And I feel like a lot of those old school trickliners have kind of just like mellowed out, not died out.
Yeah, for sure. But why do you think there is no new community? Like why do you think there is like I feel like there is a community.
I feel like
it's not the big. But
yeah, it's not. It's just it's like a little bit different because like it was like everybody was pushing tricklining, and tricklining was like we were competing and there was like competitions and stuff like that. But there's not really competitions anymore.
Yeah, there's just
a
few.
But as a new trickliner, also like you get to see videos of like people tricklining, doing crazy stuff. Like I don't know if you've seen my like any of my videos. It's like I'm not the best trickliner in the world, but like makes it seem like maybe you can trickline. You know, so you just get a trickline and like set up in your backyard, put some pads out, and just go and trickline. Like that's what I would recommend. Like if you see a video, like you want to do it, go do it.
And I have something for you.
Oh, whoa. A gift.
So this podcast was inspired by Robert from Gibbon. Is that the same? It's
I
a
don't
new
know
one.
where it is, but I think I have
He gave
one.
me some stuff, and when I saw this one, I thought about you because I think one of your first like viral videos or like you just like they had you with wear before the beach.
Yeah.
And I just thought of you.
Oh, thanks.
So
thank you so much.
and when I saw it, like since the time I saw it, I was like, I want to give it to Brianna.
Oh, thank
So
you.
yay.
I do. I will say that I might have this hat.
I think it's a new collection.
Red Bull.
It might be a new collection, but I don't know.
I'll wear this hat with pride. Yeah, I remember like I had like Gibbon merch, and it was like so hard to get back then.
Yeah.
Now it kind of is hard to get as well.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I hope our talk inspires, I don't know, new trickliners or new social media people.
Trickline first, social media later.
Sounds good to me. Thank you guys for watching. What should I say? I don't know.
Stay slacky, guys.
Stay slacky. Bye.